We're going to start tonight with a public hearing, and then we'll go into the. We're going to start tonight with a public hearing, and then we'll go into the regular meeting. Okay? So this is a notice of public hearing. This is the Laredo Independent School District Board of Trustees, Laredo Independent School District Public Facility Corporation Board of Directors. This is a public hearing. Today is Thursday, July 16th. It is now 5:20. We're meeting at the Amber Uri Boardroom. We will dispense with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance during the regular meeting. So at this time, we have a discussion and presentation of the optional flexible school day program. Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Our optional flexible school day program, this is actually our second year of implementation of it. We have to have board approval in order to have a varied schedule for our high school, Jose A. Valdez non-traditional school. We have to come to the public and make everyone aware that it is a credit recovery effort. So in order to have school, some kids will go to school from 8 to 12. Another group of kids will go to school from 12 to 4. Another group of kids will go to school from 4 to 8. And that is, it's a non-traditional setting. We also have what we call an optional flexible day that we're going to be creating at each of our traditional high schools, Martin, Nixon, and Figueroa, where kids will have the opportunity through an extended day to recapture credits that they have lost either from truancy issues or whatever reasons they have failed the class. We submitted this application last year and it was approved, and we implemented, or at least began to implement it at Jose Valdez. This year we hope to take it to even another level, and really what we're trying to do is just give our high school kids as many opportunities as they can to be successful and get their graduation credits. And what we're finding is the longer we work at it, the more we identify kids that they just don't fit the 8 to 4 model for whatever reason. Some of them have families of their own, children of their own that they're responsible for. Some work to provide for their families, and a host of other issues. We're trying to improve our graduation rates, and we're trying to focus on kids who drop out of school or who are at risk of dropping out of school. We had a total of 64 students this last year take advantage of that program, our optional flexible school day program. 22 students graduated this last June. 13 were from Martin, 6 were from Nixon, 3 were from Figueroa. A total of 236 credits were earned. In order to submit the application to TEA to allow our kids to have this varied schedule, in addition to board approval, we have to have a public hearing and just allow for comments or questions. So, Mr. President, that concludes our presentation to set up for the hearing. And at this time, we'll open up for comments or questions from the board before we allow the opportunity to hear from the public.
Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in regards to this item? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in regards to this very important item? And there's nobody that would like to comment, then we'll go ahead and adjourn. This meeting is now adjourned. Anybody? Dr. Moreno? Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Did we recover any attendance through this program last year?
Your microphone.
You know, a lot of the kids that went through our credit recovery because of attendance did that at their home school. So I don't think we've done as much of it as we should do. And that
Have
we
we
will
done
do.
any of it at all? Is there any report? You can't do this at your campus. The recovery of their attendance has to be reported through the central office.
Right, and to answer your question, yes, we have kids that have recaptured their credits through our optional flexible program, yes.
Okay, I didn't talk about credits, attendance, that we were able to get a reimbursement for their days present and absent. How are we doing with that reporting to the state so we can get those funds? Is there anybody from our district that took care of that?
I just have to look. I mean, I know that we're trying to recapture funds, but as far as how that works with our funding template, I'd have to check.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions in regards to the credits? Okay, if there's no comments, we're going to adjourn, and then we will come back in about 5 minutes and start the regular meeting at 5:30. Thank you. We're now adjourned. This is the Laredo Independent School Board of Trustees and the Laredo Independence Public Facility Corporation Board of Directors. This is a regular meeting for the month of July. Today is July 16th. It is now 5:33. We're meeting at the Amber Year Boardroom here in 1620 Houston Street. Roll call, Mr. Garza, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jesus Martinez.
Present.
Mr. Jose Valdez. Present. Mr. Ricardo Garza, present. Mr. Hector Noyola. Present. Dr. Celia May Moreno.
Present.
Mr. Hector Garcia.
Here.
Mr. Jose Perez.
Present.
All present.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Castillo?
Yes. Good evening, board members and Dr. Nelson. Tonight, LISD salutes a veteran from the Korean War. The instructional television department, under the direction of Jeanette Martinez, has produced a video recognizing LISD former teacher, Mr. Ernesto Sanchez, who served with the United States Army, achieving the rank of Sergeant First Class. Mr. Sanchez was a platoon leader of the recoiling rifles, which was used for the first time in the Korean War. Today, he is still an advocate for veterans' causes and is active with local veterans affairs. Lights, please.
The Laredo Independent School District recognizes the veterans who proudly and valiantly served in the military. Freedom is not free, so we pay tribute to our local veterans. Today, Laredo ISD recognizes a proud veteran, Mr. Ernesto Sanchez. Mr. Sanchez served in the United States Army in the 40th Infantry Division, 23rd Regiment, 2nd Battalion for a total of 23 months. He spent 1 year in the Korean War.
Wars are necessary to protect our democracy. So they don't like us, so it's a way of life. As long as there's two of us in the world, we're going to fight. So las nueras con las suegras y las suegras, and it's part of life.
Mr. Sanchez retired from the United States Army at the rank of Sergeant First Class. After his retirement from the Army, he joined the LISD family as a teacher. He began his teaching career in 1958 at Martin High School, teaching world history. And he also taught for numerous years at Bruni Elementary. Mr. Sanchez shares with us a few words for our LISD students.
I will tell them what I always told them. Set a goal, no matter what it is, to be president or be in the, whatever you want to be, set a goal and don't let anything detour you, because there will be a lot of things in the way.
Mr. Sanchez believes that education is a strong component of life.
There's nothing like education. I just finished at LCC 41 semesters, and the last 38 are consecutive. I do all kinds of art, and I love to work on rocks, sculpture, and I have beautiful things that it's not me, the Lord, that has given me the thing.
He spends a lot of his spare time as a member of coalitions, and he is also the only male member of the Laredo Medical Center Auxiliary Group, where he helps and visits patients and visitors at the hospital.
And I help a lot at the hospital. I'm an auxiliary, and by the way, I'm the only man left there, and there's 150 ladies, and it's a beautiful thing to help those that are hurting. It's beautiful to inspire the family that go there.
Mr. Sanchez tells us how he would like to be remembered.
I want people to remember me. It's that when I came into this world, it was a mess or whatever, and when I leave this world, I want to leave it better than what it was. It is my belief that we build a lot of things and do a lot of things, and we're not going to take them with us. We leave them for the others. So my motto is love humanity and help them as much as you can, and we're all brothers in the end. And I leave you with this message, if you want to. Always take care of number one, which is you. Take care of number two, take care of number three, your father, your mother. And then when there's problems, always come back to number one, take care of yourself, because you have to keep on taking care of them. So always take care of number one.
Mr. Ernesto Sanchez, Laredo ISD proudly salutes you for serving our country and protecting our freedom.
Mr. Sanchez, for your service to this country, we owe you a debt of gratitude. Would you please honor us by leading the United States Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Please remain standing for the national anthem, which will be performed this evening by Martin High School band member Ms. Diana Arredondo under the direction of Mr. Bobby Castro. That was Martin High School student Miss Diana Arredondo on the oboe. Thank you, Miss Arredondo, and thank you, Mr. Castro.
¿Qué pasó con la placa que les íbamos a dar al veterano?
Mr. Martinez, may I continue with the special observances?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Miss Maria Lucila Vela passed away on Friday, June the 19th. She worked for 5 years at LISD as a matron for Farias, Achar, and Sanchez Elementary Schools. Marta Rita Rendon passed away on Saturday, June the 27th. She worked as a teacher at Don Jose Gallego Elementary School for 14 years. And Jose Gonzalez Sr. passed away on July the 4th. He worked as a custodian at Lamar Middle School with 5 years of service. LISD sends its sincerest condolences to the Vela, Rendon, and Gonzalez families.
Thank you. A moment of silence for the memory of this LISD personnel. Thank you. Ms.
May I
Castillo?
continue with the
Yes.
board recognitions?
Yes.
Good evening again, Dr. Nelson and board members. This evening we'll be recognizing 2 outstanding community partners, 27 school cafeterias with perfect scores in their most recent inspection by the Laredo Health Department, and some talented students who excelled in the area of reading. We begin tonight by recognizing 2 of our community partners for always supporting LISD's educational mission. First up, we have from Sames Motor Company, who sponsored the Drive Sames for Education program, which encourages perfect attendance in our high school students. More than 1,500 high school students who had perfect attendance during the school year submitted their entries and qualified to win a brand new 2015 Ford Focus. On graduation day, Cigarroa High School student Jury Ruby de Anda was selected the winner of the new car. Here representing Sames Motor Company is their marketing director, Carla Gonzalez, and their HR director, Diana Castañeda. Please come forward to receive your award. Thank you very much to Sames Motor Company. And next we have the Laredo Federal Credit Union, who sponsored the Perfect Attendance Program for LISD teachers. Every 6 weeks, teachers who had perfect attendance were qualified to win a grand prize, which is an all-expense-paid round trip to Las Vegas, Nevada, or Orlando, Florida. The grand prize winner of the Laredo Federal Credit Union's Perfect Attendance Program for LISD teachers will be announced at the back-to-school convocation in August. Laredo Federal Credit Union also sponsored the tax title and license for the new car giveaway and the Drive Sames for Education program. Here representing the Laredo Federal Credit Union is their CEO, Mr. Erasmo Ramos, and their marketing director, Mr. Rafael Martinez. We thank Sames Motor Company and the Laredo Federal Credit Union for supporting our LISD attendance goals. Thank you again. Now we are pleased to recognize our school cafeteria managers and our cafeteria workers for meeting all the standards on their recent inspection, and they received a perfect score of 100% from the City of Laredo Health Department. Recibiendo este reconocimiento por todo su trabajo, vamos a introducirlos. Son de la Escuela Primaria Bruni, Ana Mendoza. From Gallego Elementary School, we have Ms. Laura Sanchez. The cafeteria manager at Dikes Elementary School is Maria Guadalupe Cervera. And Mr. Cuellar, if you're here, please join us forward. Mr. Cuellar is our Director of Child Nutrition Program. Congratulations again, Mr. Cuellar, for all your efforts. The manager in the cafeteria at Dovalina Elementary is Ms. Silvia Maldonado. Manager for the Farias Elementary School cafeteria is Lourdes Velázquez. And from Heights Elementary, Ms. Maria Emma Aguilera. From Caguas Elementary School, we have Mr. Mark Elif. From Line-Decker Elementary, we have Ms. Adriana Rodriguez. She's the manager at Line-Decker. From Ligarde Elementary, Ignacio Salas. We are also recognizing the McDonald Elementary Cafeteria Manager, Ms. Gloria Castillo, and the Cafeteria Manager at J.C. Martin Elementary School, Sandra Villanueva. From Milton Elementary School, Sonia Herrera. And from Alma Pierce Elementary, Ms. Marta Valenzuela. From Ryan Elementary School, our cafeteria manager, Delia Fuentes. Outside. From Sanchez Ochoa Elementary School, the manager is Silvia Rodriguez. From Santa Maria Elementary School, the manager of the cafeteria is Maria Santos. From Santo Niño Elementary School, Maria Ernestina Gutierrez. And from Zachary Elementary School, we have Ana Rosa Lozano and Dolores Yelmi. And from our middle schools, Kristen Middle School, the manager for the cafeteria is Rebecca Navarro. Serving up warm, nutritious meals at Lamar Middle School is Claudia Rios. And then from Memorial Middle School, we have Maria Guerrero. From the Pride of South Laredo, from Cigarroa High School, San Juana Hernandez. From Martin High School, where once a tiger, always a tiger. Mr. Ricardo Perez. From Nixon High School, forever green and gold, Mr. Ramon Palacios. From the Phoenix Cafe, from the Phoenix Cafe at the Early College High School, we have Ms. Rosa Cantu. And from the Trevino Magnet School, Jose Carrizales. And from the LISD Child Nutrition Program, Cafeteria and Central Kitchen, we have Monica Rodriguez. All right, we'll be sending their certificates to them. Thank you again. And now LISD recognizes the 2 students who placed first at the annual Laredo Poetry Contest. Bringing first place honors to LISD were Justin Dayrit, a 5th grade student at Milton Elementary School. Accepting for Justine as her principal, Leticia Martinez, and librarian Ana Laura Garza.
Congratulations, Madam. Congratulations.
Thank you. Right there.
Also winning first place in the Laredo Poetry Contest is Leonardo Puente, a 10th grade student at Cigarroa High School. Leonardo Puente. With Leonardo is Cigarroa Principal, Ms. Laura Flores. Oh, and Vice Principal, Mr. De Leon. While they're taking their picture, cafeteria managers, we're going to take a group shot in front of the boardroom in just a little bit. If you all can just wait for us. And finally, LISD congratulates the top accelerated reader students, teachers, and schools for their participation in the annual district-wide Accelerated Reader Program contest. The top elementary accelerated reader student is Mia Cuevas, 2nd grader at Alma Pierce Elementary School with 1,233.2 points and a 95.9 average. Here with Mia is school principal for Alma Pierce, Ms. Noralva Johnson, and librarian Laura Chapa.
Hi, thank you.
Also joining us is Ms. Melly Pais, our head librarian for LISD. Good job, Mia. The top middle school accelerated reader student is Marla Munoz, 8th grader at Lamar Middle School. And she earned 902.1 points with a 96.5 average. That's Marla Munoz from Lamar Middle School.
Congratulations.
The principal at Lamar Middle is Margarita Taboada, and the librarian is Ms. Vanessa Núñez. The top elementary class overall is Ms. Carmen Esparza's first grade class at Santa Maria Elementary School with 10,327.5 points and a 94.6 average. Here with Ms. Esparza is school principal Nora Santos, and I don't see the librarian, but I know that she's Elizabeth Salinas. The top middle school class is Ms. Norma Delgado's 8th grade class at Lamar Middle School with 4,129.9 points and a 91.2 average. Here with Ms. Delgado is Ms. Taboada still here? Okay, Ms. Taboada. The librarian, Ms. Vanessa Núñez. And for the 6th year in a row, the top elementary school in accelerated reading is Heights Elementary School. Now get this, Heights had 33,051.9 points. Over 92% of the Heights student population met their goal with a minimum of 75% passing. Representing Heights Elementary is their principal, Adriana Padilla, and their librarian, Adriana Villarreal. Congratulations to everyone who participated in our Accelerated Reader program. And board members and Dr. Nelson, that concludes tonight's board recognition. And if we can have our cafeteria managers please join us outside for a group shot.
Felicidades, Mr. Salas.
Thank you.
Vamos. Da la vuelta acá.
A ver. Este no tiene plástico, ¿verdad?
We'll have about 3 minutes, then come back to the regular meeting.
Tiene plástico, digo.
No, es lo que vi yo primero.
What? Right behind the concession stand is where I thought there was enough room to do it. So what is it? But nobody's gonna throw it
Es que bueno, Mr. Sanchez, very proud of him. Bueno, se acabó el público. El público se acabó. Nomás para ponernos presión. Todavía está la cosa. Ahí va. No sé, ya le dijimos lo último. Nos está ligando. ¿Te acuerdas? Vamos a ligarlo. ¿Cómo está, Cho?
Mal. Mucho trabajo ahí. Estoy tomando las clases de verano. Es una friega porque todo está muy rápido. Leyendo 200 y 200 y pico páginas por día, pues ya me tienen. I've been pretty close to reading them. Pero no, ya mero se acaba. Todavía nos falta el tesis hasta acabarlo con él. Hasta diciembre es cuando acabamos todo. Pero no, ahí vamos. I did a little research on that.
And you remember your old thing, yes you can? Send you one.
Yes, you can. What?
Remember there's things, sí se puede, yes they can? Send them one. No se puede. Cemetery. After the scores. After your scores came out. No se puede. Okay, let's get serious.
We will now continue with the regular meeting. Item number 1, Dr. Nelson.
Board communication.
Board communications.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Public forum.
Yeah, public forum.
I'm sorry, right.
Public forum.
Do we have anybody signing up for public forum?
No, no one signed up.
Nobody signed up for public forum? Okay. Okay. Okay, next, board communications, Mr.
Nothing to report, just
Garcia?
as we get into the summer, the days are getting hotter. Keep your kids inside. If you keep them outside, make sure you have water around so they won't dehydrate, and stay healthy through the summer, so we make sure all our kids are back in August. And keep on enjoying your days off, for those that have them.
Mr. Garza?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a reminder, as I've said every summer, every time, continue to sharpen your skills, continue to communicate with each other or with us
in terms of the administration. One of the things I try to push is that this is a time when where we don't settle to go back and just do business as usual in August. This is where we hone in on our skills, sharpen our tool shed, and get all the tools in order so that we can kick off August, running at 110%. Not going August at 70% and expect to get it 110 by November or December. I want everybody to understand how important it is to be ready to go by the first day of school, not by October or November. So again, thank you all for been calling me and been or telling us what you all are working on and how you're going to improve your skill set. I'd encourage the teachers, everybody from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top, to do the same. Thanks.
Mr. Perez?
Yes. First of all, I want to congratulate Mr. Sanchez, our honoree tonight. And I've known Mr. Sanchez for the longest time, and he's a people's person. And the only sad part of it, in general, is that our veterans are not getting their benefits as they should. We always hear that they're lacking the benefits. We don't ask when they're out there fighting for us. When they come back, when you go, they're promised all these benefits. But when they come back, just they leave it the way it is. And never do they fight for our veterans. And I think it's time for us to either call our legislators to at least give them the service they deserve. Because when you go in here into the hospital or ask for benefits, they never get it. They just run around. And you have heard the reports from veterans that they go and they just, shove them off and just give them what they don't need. So I think it's time that it is very good that we honor our veterans, but at the same time, we need to comply as Americans and give them what they deserve, the best service in benefits that they were promised. Not that when they signed up, they promised, but then they went to fight for us. We never ask questions, but when they come back and they need the help, but we don't come up with anything. So hopefully that, this will start helping us revive the needs for our veterans. The other thing I want to say, it's too bad that they went already, but quisiera darle las más sinceras gracias a todos los gerentes y gerentes de nuestras cafeterías, porque se lleva mucho trabajo para poder tenerlas en línea y cumplir con todas las leyes del Estado. Y quisiera felicitarles una vez más. Están haciendo un gran trabajo, porque no es fácil mantenerlas limpias, mantenerlas siguiendo el reglamento de la agricultura y de las líneas federales. Muchísimas gracias a todas las gerentas de nuestras cafeterías. Thank you.
Mr. Noyola?
Yes, sir. I would like to wish all LISD Nation a safe, happy, and healthy summer. And may the next 4 or 5 weeks be long. Thank you.
Dr. Moreno?
Yes. I guess I just want to remind everybody that we have such a big responsibility, and we are truly responsible for so many outcomes for children, how well they perform, just what their future looks like, and we need for everybody to take that very seriously and obviously do your very best. Our children deserve the best teachers, and we think they have them. We just have to make sure that those teachers are equipped with the right resources and that they know enough about what they need to know so that they bring out the best in the students. Thank you.
Mr. Valdez?
Yes, I wanted to remind everybody that somebody at the national level, Mr. Donald Trump, has just reminded us that not everybody loves us, but education is what gives us the strength to stand up to people like him. This is our country, it's not just his. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valdez.
I think that deserves it. That deserves it.
Just
Yes.
as Dr. Moreno was saying, the important thing to evaluate, the way we evaluate our students and our quality of education is by grades and exams given by the state. We're not doing very well in this area. We're behind in our community, we're behind in our district, we're behind in our state. It is urgent that our teachers and our administrators do something about it. Teachers, we're working hard to get your best salary increases as we can, but you need to come up with new ideas. If you have problems with discipline with the students, correct them immediately so they do not disturb. If we have problems in the schools with parents that take the kids out early, that bring the kids late to school because of whatever reasons, we need to stop those things. We cannot blame anybody else. We cannot say it's the parents' fault. We cannot say it's the students that are coming from Mexico. No, we cannot find excuses. It is our responsibility when a student comes into our classroom that we do the best we can to get him as high as we can in his grade and his abilities to be competitive in this country. So teachers, please, and administrators, please do the best you can and do more, because we're not doing as best as we can. Thank you. Committee meetings report, Dr. Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. President. We provided the minutes from our committee meetings for you, and most of those agenda items and items that are communicated in the minutes will be discussed during this regular meeting. We entertain any comments or questions.
No. Okay, going into the consent agenda items. Item number 1.
So move to approve items as presented, all the financial reports as presented.
Okay, the move that we approve item number 1 and number 2, and the second.
For the minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Any discussion on any of these 2 items? No, if not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None opposed. Item number 1 and 2 ratified.
Move to approve items 3A and 3B.
Okay, it's been moved
Budget
to,
amendments.
moved and seconded that we approved items 3A and 3B. It's been seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. Item 3A and 3B are approved.
Move to approve 4A through 4O. Those are bids and proposals, quotations, and contracts. Second.
Okay. Move to approve the 4 items, which is A through O. Any discussion or any? There's one item. Do we have a second for this item? It's been seconded by Mr. Garcia.
No, I just want to say that for the benefit of the public and the audience that is watching us, we have already discussed these items in very, very close details in our committees, and that's why we can address them this way.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valdez, for the clearing of this situation. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody opposed? None opposed? Items number
Approve items 5A and through 5C, tax refunds.
Okay, moved and seconded by Mr. Garcia. A, B, and C. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Nobody opposed? Nay. Okay, all those in
Approve
favor?
Items number 6 to 16, other consent items. As
Okay.
presented.
Second.
Mr. Perez moves that we approve items 6 through
16.
Just a question on sick. What are we approving there's 3 plans. Which one are we approving?
The one presented at the committee meeting,
the big one?
I think so, yes.
The one with everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm all right with that.
Okay. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. There's a question. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed? Okay, items.
Mr. President,
All the way through.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
just need to clarify on one thing before we move on, that, and I apologize, because as Trustee Valdez said, we have discussed all of the items on consent agenda in detail.
Right.
But we just today, some new information on item number 9. We presented the list to you, but we want to be clear that we have not completed that process. And we think there'll need to be possibly one more conversation about
Okay.
this in
All
August,
right.
but we'll bring it back as
Okay,
necessary.
thank you.
So there won't be any discussion on that today?
Well, we discussed it at the business support. We provided the list of recommendations. And to be clear, we have not, there was about 200 people. And as late as today, we've had people identify that would like to have their specific situation reviewed. And so since they came today, we had an option to tell them, sorry, we're not going to do it. Or what we would really like to do is allow the opportunity to visit with them. And if we need to bring any adjustments, we'll bring them in August.
Okay, Mr. Valdez?
We're not approving that yet.
Okay. No, I would like to approve, what you approved, I want to go forward with what's been presented.
Okay.
And then
There might be some
50 others.
changes on
I
it in the
really
future.
did have questions about it.
I wanted
I'd be
to-
glad to visit with you about that. And
We
I wanna-
never did visit.
Okay,
First time today.
in that case, shall we shall we bring that item and discuss it as an individual item and pass the rest of them? And
what we'd like to do, what we're recommending is to approve what we've presented.
right.
And all I wanted to do was make you aware that it's not complete yet.
Okay,
And
so
I
there
don't
might
want
be
you to
some
feel like it was complete.
some additions to those items.
Possibly.
Okay.
For clarification, Mr. President,
Yes.
it is correct. We're approving the ones that were presented to us.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And the process continues. That's an administrative
Oh,
function.
okay. All right.
So
we're
can
doing
I
fine.
ask about the, some of those, how some of those amounts came to be?
Absolutely. Now, we want to be careful about it because I don't want to violate any personnel laws if we're going to discuss any specific person. But I can, I don't know if you want to ask it where we don't need to go into closed session if it's personnel.
Well, I guess the question is, how did the reclassification amounts get there?
Well, for the record, let me read the agenda item for the record. It's number 9 is discussion and possible action to approve the superintendent's recommendations on employee requests for reclassification or compensation action on their positions under the 2014-2015 pay plan appeals. Dr. Moreno, the answer to your question is that each line item that's being presented really had a little bit different situation that you had to
So
look
when
into.
do we get to see it?
Well, we can discuss it as much in detail as you'd like to discuss, but, it depends. First of all, the top list, it was recommended from TASB, the top 5. And the rest appealed, and, there's some on here that the appeal was not to receive more money, the appeal was to go to another pay grade. There was others where they didn't necessarily want to go to another pay grade, they wanted to try and...
My question is on the reclassification, because if they received an increase, are we saying that increase should have been different last year?
No.
Well, then, why now?
Because we're going through the process that we've been doing for the last 24 months on reclassifications that started in September of 2013.
So these are, well, see, I do have questions. These are not tied into the whole plan that we approved?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, so that's
You're
my
suggesting that
question.
you're surprised, and we've been discussing this.
No, I am
Okay.
surprised about the reclassification amounts, because does that mean that if we had given it to them last year, they would have earned that money last year?
Mr. Garza, can you answer that question?
Dr. Moreno, as far as the amounts are concerned,
On the reclassifications?
reclassification, when you're going from one pay grade to the next pay grade, when we adopted the pay plan, there were specific it's very specific as to what you're going to do when you go from one pay grade
Right.
to the other.
But,
It'll be
but the
6%.
question is, if these had been done last year, is this amount what they would have received?
What TASB is recommending to us is that we do these changes when we come in for this next year, and that's what we're following.
Not retroactive.
No, not retroactive.
Yeah, you couldn't.
So
You
is there
wouldn't
a
be able to do
formula for the reclassification?
Yes, ma'am. If
So
you're
can
going
you
to
all
go-
share that formula with us?
Like I said, ma'am, you're going from one pay grade to the other, and it's only one pay grade that you're going. It's going to be 6% off of the new minimum, the midpoint of the next pay grade. Okay, so if you're going from a 3 to a 4, you're going to look at the midpoint of the 4, and you're going to get 6% off of that. Let's say that you're going from a 3 to a 12, let's say. If it's more than one pay grade, it's going to be 9%.
We'll be glad to go over this as much,
Yes.
detail.
I understand, and I partially agree with Ms. Moreno that this process was started this year for what they were getting this year. Therefore, a grievance is to take effect on what they're getting right now or this past year. I think that's what Ms. Moreno was
I
saying.
think it's very.
You can't
well,
go backwards.
I think
It's
it's very
illegal.
different, but I think it's very
Okay.
different if people were placed there during the time that the study was done, what would that salary have been? And now that we're bringing in a different process, 8%, that's different. That's not the same thing. If you can show me that it would have been the same thing, then I would understand, but that's not what I'm seeing. In other words, if these people had been given those classifications last year, they wouldn't have triggered that automatic 3%, or whatever percent you mentioned.
The year of the grievance.
I'm not following. that.
you want-
I think
whatever you want
the way
to do.
Mr. Garza?
I think the way you break it down is this, is that we started this process 2 years ago. We've stuck to the spirit of what we were trying to accomplish. We've since adjusted everything through grievances, through TASB recommendations, through everything else you can throw at it.
Right.
And we pretty much came down to these numbers today by the formula that was there 2 years ago, by the formula that is there today, and by the formula that's going to be there next year. So we pretty much purged the system to no end to try and get to this point to today. And now it allows us that anytime that we go to a salary increase or any salary adjustments that we're going to do, that we follow this formula, because in my mind, I don't think we're clear on the grievance part already. Everybody's classified from this point on, as far as I'm concerned. You know, we might get some more people in August or whatever, but I think the classification process is done and over with. I think that's what we were trying to do for the past 24 months. Now everything is placed and in order so that when we do these things and we say a 1%, 2% across the board, that all these numbers will fall in together as we intended, or as was the spirit 2 years ago. Is that, and am I clear on that, or is it, you know, am I confusing everybody with this? But I think that's the way I understood it to be.
Do we work on this for some time, think about it, see where it comes, or we already voted on it and go from here?
What I think
Moreno,
we'd
what do you
like to
think?
do is really get an understanding, a more detailed understanding, meet with Dr. Moreno and really have human resources, myself,
Okay.
explain our process line by line.
Okay.
In the meantime, respectfully, I would recommend that we go forward with what we're presenting. And like I said, we have approximately 50 other employees that need this review. So if we need to make an adjustment and clarify, we'll do that in August.
Okay.
May I add that maybe now that, because it's been a long drawn out process, that we sit down and we get a clear and concise explanation as to what proceeded over the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
And say, this is where we're at today. From this point on, We've adjusted, we tweaked it as much as we can. We've done everything that we could. From this point on, it's going to work this way. That way, any questions that'll be around it, we've already taken care of.
Yes, sir.
So if somebody was given a lower classification last year, but the salary still increased, and now we give them, they appeal, so now we give them an increase, they still get another increase. Well, they were never lowered.
And so you're suggesting we shouldn't do that?
No,
or-
I'm just questioning what we're doing.
Mr. Geiser, can you respond to Dr. Moreno's question?
I understand what Dr. Moreno is asking. Okay, let's say that this, we're going to give a number here. Let's say that we're saying it's $2,000. That's going to be the difference, or the 6%. Okay, what we're planning to do is, with the new year and with their new contract, we're going to increase the 2,000 that they would have had if they had been there this year at that pay grade. And give it to them. They're not going to lose it. And then they're going to get their normal 3% or 5%, whatever it is that they were going to get for this year. So to me, if I'm understanding you correctly, if they were a 2 all year, and then we're saying now they're supposed to be a 3, and we're calculating a $2,000 difference in that. They didn't earn that $2,000 this year, but we are going to give it to them at the beginning of this next year, give them the $2,000. I'm sorry. Giving them the $2,000 plus we're going to do any raise that the board is recommending for the year. Am I understanding you correctly?
You're gonna
No?
bring them, what they're gonna do is bring them up from last year too. They're gonna bring them up from last year what they had. This year was a correction. They're gonna honor what they did last year and then go from there and give them
The regular.
Point
I understand that.
of order,
Mr.
Mr.
Valdez?
President. Yeah, point of order, and I think, John, you probably consider making some comments on this. The only item on the agenda is that the superintendent presented to us a number of employees whose appeals were approved by administration and they're being recommended to the board for action. The appeals process, which is being discussed right now, is not on the agenda. It should be. But at this point, the agenda item only covers the recommendation on the discussions that we had in executive session. It doesn't cover the appeals process.
No.
In other words, this is the superintendent's recommendations.
On these employees.
We either vote those recommendations up or down. And then we can discuss the other project, the other part if you want to, but that's not on the agenda tonight.
I think that an explanation of
But I,
the process
yeah, you can.
is
I think it's
okay.
fair to
Okay.
to
It doesn't
ask
cover
about the basis of the recommendation and how it was calculated.
Right.
And if I'm understanding Dr. Moreno correctly, I think I don't know the answer to this, but the question seems to be is if the employees had gotten their reclassification through TASB or whatever had happened with TASB, that it would be calculated differently, the different percentages. The question is whether or not it would have been calculated differently versus that if these employees are being reclassified pursuant to this appeal process, that there are different, maybe the question is, are there different percentages being applied, or so are they getting different amounts because it didn't happen automatically through the TASB process last year versus now when it's happening now, is the amount different because it's happening now?
The answer is no.
No. We're calculating this according to the rules
The TASB
that
criteria.
were adopted by the board when we accepted the pay plan study.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
This is not,
Or
and
compensation.
that makes all kinds of sense, but these are not, these are based on where the study placed them, and you're not, in other words, we're still, these are as a result of the study, they're not the afterwards.
Okay.
They're a result of the study.
Yes, ma'am.
Even here, you've told me that every reclassification would have a percent, right?
Each reclassification, and like Dr. Nelson said, each case was different.
Okay,
The-
then it's not.
The requests
okay.
were different.
Then that's the whole point. It's not what you said, because here, you've got some reclassifications with money and some that don't have money.
Correct.
So then it's not as clear as what you've said, that every
Well-
reclassification Yeah, that's what you just said. Every
Well,
reclassification.
some of the reclassifications, Dr. Moreno, were very specific, okay?
Yeah.
They said, we want a reclass from this pay grade to this pay grade. We do not want any additional money this year. We just want to be at this pay grade the next year.
And
And that's what we honored.
Right.
Okay.
But
Mr. President,
still, that's my whole point right there.
Well, we'll discuss the process, man.
Mr. President,
Yes. Call for a
on
question.
this item, I would recuse from one vote, and that's my brother. I didn't see the list there, but I just want to take out my vote for my brother and vote for the other persons.
Okay, sir, I understand. Okay.
So the plan does allow that flexibility for you to say, just reclassify me, I don't want the raise.
Yes.
I think it
Yes,
allows,
it
I think
does.
it's that
It
flexibility.
allows.
I think that's what I saw. I'm not sure, but that's what I saw on that.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so we voted on this item. So this item passed. I mean, this items all the way to
16.
I move that we approve the recommendation of the superintendent.
And
Okay, we already
and
did.
I will not vote for this. I will
Okay.
vote for the other items, but not for
Okay.
this one.
okay.
Okay. Well, that's my motion to approve the recommendation of the
I'll second
superintendent.
that.
As presented to us.
I know, but I'd recommend for the president then that the board first vote on items to separate this out, and also because
Yes.
just
Oh, I
to make
see.
the vote
Okay.
accurate, to perhaps pull out item number 9 and first have the board vote on the other consent items, number 6 through 16, not including number 9
Right.
first.
Okay, Mr. Perez, would
so-
you agree with that?
And in other words, we're going to rescind what we did.
Well, no, just first, because the,
Well,
Because
change
we
it.
voted on
first to
the whole batch.
amend the motion, amend the motion on the table to take out item number 9, just
And
for
vote it
right now,
separately.
and vote on items number 6 through 16.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we already voted.
Was
So we
there-
need to rescind it first,
Gonna
right?
amend it.
Well, the vote is being questioned by...
Was there a vote on it? Was it already voted?
Yeah, we voted.
Okay, well, okay.
And
I'm
then-
just- Well, then I'd say to rescind it so you can pull this item out and have a separate vote on it.
Okay,
Vote to rescind.
okay.
Second.
It's been moved and voted to rescind number 9, or to the whole
16.
Yeah, right,
election, I mean, the voting of these
Rescind number
items?
9.
6 through 16.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, a new motion to vote on items.
Motion to accept 6 through
Through-
16 without number 9.
Okay,
And number 6 to be the third, what we already talked about.
Yes, sir.
But we're rescinding number 9 only.
right.
Yeah, but we have to vote.
So we already voted on the other ones.
Okay,
So
we
now
rescinded the
we
vote.
bring back the number 9.
Okay, first we're going to vote on item 6 through 16.
Was
Okay,
that-
because we rescinded
Number
the
9.
first vote on everything.
Right.
Okay, all those in favor of item 6 through 16?
Without 9.
Without excluding.
Okay, hold on, before, is there any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes, we already voted for everything. Now we're taking out, we rescind number 9. So
No,
the
we
rest
rescinded
is
the
already
vote.
Passed. So now we're going to bring out number 9, and we're going to go vote in that.
Okay,
No.
we rescinded the vote.
Yeah, we had
Because the
to,
vote is not what we wanted. We're moving everything out. Now we're going to vote on items 6 through 16 without number 9.
Mr. President,
Okay? Now, any discussion?
we need, if we have not rescinded anything. In
Yeah,
other
we
words, the
have.
motion needs to be made to rescind.
We just did.
we did that a second
Who
ago.
seconded it?
There was a motion to rescind, I thought there was a second.
Ya la
Or
votamos.
9. For only 9.
No,
My apology.
All right.
Okay. Again, we rescinded
The last
to remove, rescinded the vote that we had on items 1 through 6, 6 through 16. Okay, that was voted on. We're going to start anew
Okay.
on items 6 through 16 without 9.
right.
Okay, that'll be one motion, the motion that Mr. Garcia just made.
Second.
Okay. Okay, and it's been seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, now number 9. Like the motion on that?
Don't move.
Okay, that we approved item
excuse
number
me,
9.
Mr. Pettis, you don't.
Well,
No,
that's what
that's
it's
the one you
doing.
don't vote on, Joe.
Yeah,
No,
you don't
but
make
now
a
we're going to
motion.
vote on number
I'm not
9. What are we
voting
going
on
to do with
this.
9?
Oh, well,
Bringing it
Second.
up.
okay, well,
Okay.
that's,
I'm just making the motion.
okay.
I'm not voting.
Okay.
Second.
It's true.
Okay. Okay. Now we're going to make a motion to, and Mr. Garcia seconded. Now we have discussion. Any further discussion on item number 9? We're going to accept it as proposed, and then we'll discuss some more.
I call for a
It
question.
is, okay. Any discussion? Before, okay, I'll call for the question. All those in favor on item number 9, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed?
Opposed?
One.
Okay, Ms.
I
Moreno.
abstain.
Dr. Moreno. Okay, and Mr. Perez abstained because there's an item there related to his brother. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, regular agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item number 17 is discussion and possible action to add 2 additional FTEs to the 2015-2016 budget. Before I go into that, I wanted to once again recognize our outstanding architect on the Lamar Final Phase project, Mr. Robert Sepulveda. Thank you for being here and appreciate your work on that.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations on your approval.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 17 is in the spirit of commendations, I would like to recognize our Chief Student Services Officer, so to speak, our Executive Director of Student Services, Ms. Maggie Martinez, has coordinated our high school transition in the master schedule. She's had if she's Batman in the show, our Chief Technology Officer, Mr. Mike Manoa, and his team have been Robin, so to speak, and it's a labor of love. And I've got a little side bet going with some of our trustees about the process being smooth and schedule pickup going right, and we're working on that very hard every day. The bottom line is here in July, we've identified the need for 2 additional teaching FTEs. One of them, actually we've identified the need for 1. We anticipate needing another one before the start of school. And so we would like to get...
Where are those going?
They would be at Sigatoa High School. We're not even sure on the funding source yet because they may be funded out of Kate. It depends. You know, we've got some ag sections being FFAs, agricultural sections being requested. We've also got an art request. We've got some balancing to do. We've got a personnel situation where we have an art teacher that can move, and then we've got a Spanish need where we think we can get a Spanish teacher from our middle school. So it's a very intense process, but human resources, the counselors, myself, the principals.
But we do recognize that there's no growth in enrollment.
Right.
That everybody's going to be teaching more classes, so there's extra teachers from that. They're just not in the right areas, right?
We do recognize that, and for the record, we had a request for 14 positions. And
Well,
we've going through a process, we've identified the need for 1.
I was going
possibly
to say,
two.
how can you
Tito
request
Well-
14 when there's no growth and every teacher's teaching more classes?
I agree. You know, the example I like to give, if I may, is VMT. VMT, we have a vacancy right now, and we said, well, based on the number of students that have requested that course, we don't feel like that we could move those kids into another course or another section. But it's a fine arts magnet. I think we all agree that dance is one of the fine arts that we're committed to. So we have some classes that have just what you would deem very difficult to support class sizes. We've got classrooms that are built for 23, 25, and there's only 8 students built in it. We have a situation at Sigatoa, which is the main one. Sigatoa and Martin are the 2 campuses that what Dr. Moreno's talking about as far as balancing that we're trying to do. You have Martin High School, who's just coming off improvement required, and Sigatoa that just went into improvement required. So I agree with you that we do not have the need to add a whole lot of staff based on our student growth. And that's why if I could just get,
we mean.
right, and if I could just get approval on this, we will bring back clear evidence of how we're using it. And
I'd just like to comment on that.
Mr. Garcia, do we need a motion here first so we can continue with discussion? Or?
So move.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Okay, Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, that's fine. And just that, there's a situation in the master schedule where you do need to, I know that they're smaller, where enrollment is decreasing.
Flatly.
But at the different schools, at the different high schools, we're added a lot more
Students. GPC students.
CBT, all these that are specialized. So at the middle school, we're canceling Spanish, health, and all that. It's easy because I know at Figueroa, I went to look at the master schedule to assist them a little. They needed, honestly, there were 9 teachers, but those teachers were just had to be moved around from the middle school to the high school because they're math to math, Spanish to Spanish. In the other ones, you can't move around because of the specific course they were going to. So it's very hard to actually teach them. And they actually needed 3 unless they found somebody else. But you couldn't find them from anywhere else because we actually looked for that. So there is some time that you have to do this.
But you're also going to have some classes that are going to be very small.
They're not. Their ratio is 20. Their ratio is 28 to 1.
Well,
ratio.
Just think about the fact that if everybody's teaching one more class,
then
and you don't have an increased enrollment,
should balance.
But we're also pushing that we need extra reading, so we're putting them in extra reading classes. We're putting them in extra math classes. So regardless if they're not teaching one, you're still putting them into a class that is not necessarily for graduation, but for enrichment, which this board has been preaching to them. So I understand that too.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we approve item 17.
No, it's already been moved.
Oh, it's already in motion?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I know, I call for the question.
Okay, call for the question. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Unopposed? Okay, the motion carries. Number 17.
18.
Now go to number 18.
Item number 18 is led by our internal auditor, Ms. Elizabeth G. Henry, and it reads, discussion and update on the duties of the internal auditor, including ongoing audits. Ms. Henry?
Tenemos, dile. Anybody?
Anybody has any questions from? No questions?
Board
We're
President,
fine.
members of the board, Dr. Nelson, the following is my report for this month. Audits completed. You received in your packet a copy of the...
The microphone on?
Yes.
Okay, get closer to it, please.
There.
Thank you.
The Nixon High School Band Booster Fundraising. This was in your packet. Pending exit is a special request by our finance department on the high school fundraising activities. And in progress is a special education department audit.
Mr. Garcia?
Just a quick question, and I don't know if it falls under Ms. Ayala or just you, and we've talked about it before. For the upcoming year, can we make it mandatory, I don't know if both of y'all, mandatory that any organization or clubs within the schools have to attend a mandatory money handling, everything the way, and if they don't attend it, they cannot do anything. And it has to be signed off by the auditor that at least 2 or 3 courses, one now, one midterm, and one at the end of that way that, you know what, if they don't do it, we gave them the opportunity. Once, you know.
Well, and
is that on the books? So we're going to do it like that?
Can I respond to that, Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
On behalf of our Chief Financial Officer and our Internal Auditor, I think that's an excellent idea. We actually already have some systems in place that require it's not everyone, and we will include bookkeepers as well. We already were doing it with assistant principals and above. We will add bookkeepers as well and have that. We're going to have our fraud and ethics training as well, which will make sure everyone, our whole district participates in. And so, yes, I think your idea is good. I don't know if we want to do it 3 times, but we definitely can do it one time and then present to the board a summary of what.
Does this include booster clubs?
Yeah, Mr. Garcia, I think it's very important what you're saying. That includes the clubs that are going to be handling the money, not only the people in our district.
Everybody that doesn't deal with money has to attend.
See,
if
we
you
really,
don't, then you can't have a club.
Not to cut you off, Trustee Garcia, I'll let you finish.
That's it.
Okay. I just want to say, please correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Ayala, but we train our campuses to not interact with Booster Club in their financial activities. And so I think your idea is good to bring in a sponsor or someone that's in the Booster Club to tell them, here's what we do and what we don't do, here's what we allow and we don't allow. But I want to be very clear that we're coaching our principals to not participate in...
So why are we holding them responsible when the Booster Club didn't follow process in?
Right.
I don't understand. I mean,
It doesn't make sense.
That's a good
Why are
question.
they using our facilities to sell, like just at Shirley Field? They're using our facilities to make money for a booster club that's not even being monitored. That's what I don't understand.
No, it is being monitored because Miss Henry,
Without procedures?
There
without
is,
training.
there are guidelines for booster clubs, and they're supposed to turn in their bylaws, everything to the finance department and to our department. The problem is that they're not turning it in. It's until we go out there and, or somebody reports it, that's when we find out that there's actually some
so we
fraud.
don't have a way of
So
saying these haven't been turned in?
If we
No,
turned
we-
it in from the very beginning and did that, then you know what? You put a stop to them and you cannot participate in any of our properties because at the end of the day, it's the school's property.
Sure.
So we can mandate, you know what? You want to run a concession stand in LIZ property? This is what you got to do as a booster club, and you got to turn it in. If not, the next game you don't have a concession stand.
We'll
Or you
complete.
don't have whatever.
We'll complete that before the first day of school.
I just add this, I mean, from my end, I know we've discussed this already at length, but what I saw, the gaps in it were that there was no response required from the CFO's office that said, because all the paperwork ended up at her desk, and that said, okay, we reviewed your form and your application to be a fundraising group. You have our go-ahead to go do it. And there's no sign-off from their office back to them that says that. They just assume that as soon as they turn it in, they have the go-ahead. And so there's people in there that might not be, privy to that the principal knows, that everybody knows. And so I think we ought to have a system where once CFO signs off on it, that means everybody at LISD knows that you're operating as a fundraising group.
Ms. Ayala? clear
Yes,
up?
thank you,
clear-
Mr. Martinez. And
Yes.
we can add that additional layer, but ultimately, the person responsible
Sure.
for approving the booster club, its name, it is the principal.
Okay.
The principal needs
But
to
who
know
gives
what's
the
going on in their
guidelines
campus.
to the booster
We do have a
clubs?
manual, sir. We do
No,
have a
but-
manual that's
but-
highly detailed.
So it is the responsibility of the principal to pass on a manual to the booster club or to train
It's
them?
online. The training, we provide the training, not
For
a
the
problem.
booster clubs?
For the booster clubs is sponsored. Anyone, if the principal requests us training, we go and we can provide
Okay, well,
one-to-one training. or
That's a
as-
concern that we have, that the booster clubs don't know what they're doing.
It's not
and
that
they're
they
making
don't know, they're
mistakes.
just taking risks, because the manual is there. We are here
Yeah,
to
but
help them.
that doesn't guarantee that they're going to do the right thing, just
Right.
having a manual there.
Right, again, it's if I think everything goes on at the school. So the principal has to know whether they have all the bylaws and everything, because they sign off. So if there are activities going on that are not approved by the secondary or elementary directors, obviously there's a gap that we need to close
Well,
that.
that's what
Maybe
we're
we should-
questioning.
Maybe they should, in terms of, I think maybe they're just reporting, at the end of the year or after 3 months, every quarter, something that would put a halt, a snapshot
Yes.
of what they're doing
And
at
we
this
have
particular.
it, and we
Okay.
have the rules.
Let me ask a question. If you have an event, there's an opening for whatever event. Say I'm doing a game Friday, concession stand. I have an event. It has to be approved by the principal that I'm doing concession. That before they can do another event, a summary of that event, costs, what you made, and all that has to be turned in before you can get another one.
Exactly. It
And
needs
if
to
they
be
don't have,
submitted.
if they don't turn something in, then that second, they can't have it because the paperwork wasn't done.
The
That's
problem
fine.
is that
We agree.
the second fundraiser is being approved without us knowing. So we don't know, we cannot collect the report.
Principals,
Well,
so we
we
need to do what we need to do at that particular time.
Yes, sir. We'll have all that in place by the first day of school, and we'll bring a report in August to show evidence of responding to this concern.
Okay.
To make it
Next item, Ms. Henry.
The next item, number 19, is discussion and possible action on the duties and responsibilities of the internal auditor as assigned by the Board of Trustees, including the potential assignment of auditing duties, possible closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074, subsection A, subsection 1. Mr. President, are there any items that the board would like to discuss?
Board, are there any items that you'd like to bring up? No reaction from the board, no items, sir.
I just wanted to follow up on Trustee Garza's comments. The internal auditor and myself have begun working on a summary of the audits that have been completed this year and the actions that have followed, and we'll be bringing that in
Okay.
August.
Appreciate that.
Mr. Garcia? Did you have a question?
Follow through.
Sir. May we proceed, Mr. President?
Okay, yes.
Item number 20 is discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation to hire the following professional positions: the early college high school principal, elementary principal at Santa Maria Elementary. We would like to table the CTE director position indefinitely, and we would like to discuss the substance abuse coordinator position in close. We recommend closed session at this time, Mr. President.
Okay.
Second.
Oh, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. We're not going into a closed session. It is now 6:52, according to our clock here. Executive session. The meeting will not go on. Item number 20, Dr. Nelson.
Thank you,
It is
Mr. President.
7:13, I'm sorry. Okay.
Wait, before we start, yeah, no action was taken at
Okay.
the time.
No action was taken. Time is 7:13. We're now going on to next item.
Item number 20 is discussion and possible action to approve the recommendation to hire the following professional positions: the early college high school principal. Mr. President, members of the board, I would like to recommend Mr. Israel Castilla for the position.
Okay. It's been recommended that Israel.
The name again, please.
Mr. Israel Castilla.
Castilla.
I move that we adopt I move that we approve the recommendation of the superintendent.
And seconded. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? None. Okay, next.
The next
Congratulations
position we would
to
like to recommend is for the principal at Santa Maria Elementary. I would like to recommend Mr. Jose De Leon.
I move that we approve the recommendation of the superintendent.
And seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nobody opposed? Nobody opposed?
And then
Has
for the
been
position of substance abuse coordinator, I would like to recommend Miss Yolanda Mendoza.
Second.
Okay, the move and seconded. Ms. Yolanda Mendoza will be approved. I mean, that she will be the one for this position. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Nobody opposed. Okay.
Also, Mr. President, last month, this board unanimously selected a new director of the Jose A. Valdez High School. She is here this evening. Please allow me the opportunity to introduce Mrs. Melissa Valdez as the new director.
Thank you for taking the challenge.
Last but certainly not least, Mr. President and members of the board, without question, one of the most popular administrators in our city and our county. He has had a very strong and illustrious career, and we hate to see him go, but he has announced that he will be retiring in the month of August. Please help me recognize an outstanding gentleman and a hard worker in LISD, Mr. Blas Martinez.
Communications?
Good evening again. The LISD Board of Trustees will have a board workshop this Saturday, July 18th at 8:30 a.m. here in the Geary Boardroom. A budget workshop is planned for Thursday, July the 23rd at 5:30 p.m. here in the Geary Boardroom. And a budget workshop is also planned for Thursday, July the 30th. Student Services Committee is set for Monday, August the 3rd at 11:30 a.m., followed by the Curriculum and Instruction Committee meeting at 5:15 p.m. The newly constructed Vidal M. Trevino School of Communications and Fine Art will have its ribbon-cutting ceremony on Thursday, August 6th at 9 a.m., followed by the dedication ceremony of the Hector and Altagracia Garcia Dance Center on the school's second floor at about 10:30 a.m. Public hearing on the budget is planned for Monday, August the 10th, followed by a special call meeting at 5:30 p.m. here in the boardroom. The board's regular meeting for August is set for Thursday, August 13th at 5:30 p.m., and the summer class of 2015 is graduating on Friday, August the 14th at 6 p.m. at the Laredo Civic Center Auditorium. And that's all I have for tonight.
Last but certainly not least, Mr. President, two quick announcements. First of all, as we know, the superintendent's office, the lifeblood, the backbone of our office, is the executive administrative assistant. She celebrates a birthday before we meet again, so please help me welcome a happy birthday to Ms. Josefina Rodriguez. And this recognition activity, where we recognize people's birthdays, there's really one person in the room that has taken that to another level. He has bought cakes and he's bought flowers. He sends text messages and emails, and he makes it a priority to recognize people on their special day. And make no mistakes about it, we did not forget. We just wanted to have a very special acknowledgement of Mr. Hector Garcia's birthday.
Thank you very much. They just forgot to buy me a cake. That's what it was. For the second year in a row. For the record.
Well, I want to say this. Last thing is, we have another birthday that was just last week. Or next week? Yeah. Last week. Miss Flora Ayala, and she's volunteered to buy you a cake. So, out of your discretionary. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
That's it.
I'd like to have a motion to adjourn. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.
We're going to go to lunch. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ahí vamos, Ricky.